All right, people. Genesis chapter 41, verse 9. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants and put me in ward and the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night. And I and he, we dreamed each man's according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. Look at this perfect timing. God's timing. They say God is our own time God. What they get that saying for? Reading the Bible. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. Ooh, look at that. All glory go to who? It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood up upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 kine, fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them. But they were still ill-favored, as at the beginning. So I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin and blasted, with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it unto me. You know why the magicians couldn't declare it? Because interpretation belongs to the Lord. Let me tell y'all a secret right quick. I'm going to tell y'all something I figured out over the years. I used to always try to figure out my dreams. And I used to ask certain people. I even looked up dream meanings in books and stuff like that. But let me tell you something. Don't do that. Don't do that. Trust in the Lord. Don't do that. I'm telling y'all something right now. Well, they say if you see a crow in your dream, this means that. Man, that can mean different things. Why? Because God's the interpreter. He'll let you know what it means. I was looking on Facebook last year, and a woman, a few years ago, and the woman was like, I had a bet. She told a dream, and then somebody came on and be like, it was a pastor, or I guess a woman pastor. She was like, let me research it, and I'll get back to you. I thought you was a pastor. What you need to research it for? How about you call on the Lord? You see, but y'all better pay attention. Only reason I know these things because I read these things. She got to research it. Joseph said, hold up, let me research it. No, he didn't. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God have showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Look at that. He had to go study something. No, he didn't. The dream of Pharaoh is one. God have showed Pharaoh what is he about to do. The 7 good kind are 7 years. And the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears, blasted with the east wind, shall be 7 years of famine. Now think about that. He didn't change it. He didn't do it to please. He was like, going to be 7 years of good years, 7 years of famine. That don't seem like good news. But it is if you take it right. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. Behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled into Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by who? God. And God will shortly bring it to pass. Right? Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Check this out. That was great. He didn't be like, hey, I'm smart. No. He said, now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over that land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And the food shall be for store in the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servant, can we find such as one as this man, in whom the Spirit of God is? Ooh, amazing. He didn't even try to appoint himself. He just said, hey, Pharaoh, this is what I think you should do. He didn't do it to get promoted. He didn't do it for nothing. He did it because God wanted him to do it. And God favored him, is about to favor him yet again. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet as wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house. Woo! I told y'all people. Joseph made his millions for breaking his back. Like Steve Harvey said. He made his millions off of not sleeping at night. He made his millions because he made sure he got 3,000 jobs to do. Y'all need to read the Bible. Stop listening to these folks. Just do what God wants you to do. And what's meant for you will come. You can look at 1,000 self-help books. People love to write a book on how they got rich. And they forget one part. God was with me. Then people start reading these books. Well, I read this book and it didn't work for me. Because God has a place for you. And he got something for you. Stop trying to be like him and see how he got rich. You understand? First of all, be content. And whatever God has for you, it'll come. You can be rich in a 1-bedroom house. Thou shalt be over my house, and according to thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I've set thee over all the land of Egypt. Oh, he worked so hard for that. Oh, Steve Harvey. He works hard to get what he was. No, he just did what God wanted him to do. Y'all better stop listening to these folks. Throw their books out the house. Throw them out. Throw them away. And Pharaoh took off his ring and from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. Joseph ain't even buy his own chain. He didn't even buy his clothes. God provided. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added to you. Does it make sense now? Y'all all praying for riches. No. Pray for God to use you. And everything else will come with it. How about I say that, Steve Harvey? Oh, no, you don't want to tell you. What do you want to tell people to work they butt off like you did? That's how you got blessed, huh? And then throw God in there a little bit. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee. And he made him rule over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Sit down at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath Paaneah. That's a crazy name. Sounds like some Indian stuff. And he gave him to his wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Why didn't he give Joseph a Hebrew wife? You need to marry one of your own kind. Not only did he marry someone, he married somebody who was the daughter of an Egyptian priest. Whoa. To all you Christians out there, God would never put you with somebody. Read this Bible. But think about what can happen. Joseph already a lover of God. You think he's not going to tell his wife about God and change her mindset? You see, y'all ain't looking at the big picture. I didn't notice something in life. God hardly ever puts two of the exact same type people together. He can. He does it sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes he put opposites together to bring himself into the situation. Stop listening to these preachers. But the Bible says don't be unequally yoked with non-believers. But what if you the one designed to bring belief into others? Think about it. Don't use that for every situation you get into. Like it has a reason to just hang with people who do evil things. But the thing about it, they didn't know God. But they finna go. They finna learn to know him. Do Joseph. Ain't that amazing? Sometimes you're the change at your workplace. Sometimes you're the change at your church. Sometimes you're the change that the area where you live needs. And you're around a bunch of non-believers. Oh no, Joseph was blessed by his family members. No, his family members kicked him out. They was going to kill him. Your enemies would be those of your own household. They didn't like Joseph's dreams. They're like, who are you? He's just my brother. That lines up with scripture in the New Testament. Jesus didn't do many works in his hometown or where he grew up because they didn't believe. Joseph didn't do great things in the land where his father was, Jacob. Why? Because they didn't truly believe. So God sent them somewhere where he was going to be useful. And he prepared this since he was born. Ain't that amazing? And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Now he was 17 when his brother sold him as slaves. So 13 years later. Oh, what you trying to tell me? It's been like 13 or 14 years since I found God. Glory be to God. Was that too long? All the trials and tribulations I went through in the last 14 years? What does that mean? Nothing. I'm still here. You still there. Don't let people tell you you're supposed to be further along than you are as a Christian by now. Oh, you God? You know exactly where I'm supposed to be? They know exactly where you're supposed to be? No, they don't. 13 years is a long time, but not in the eyes of the Lord. But I understand from a human perspective. We can't look at it how God looks at it. We can try, because 13 years to us seems like forever. But think about it. Is it? Time passed by so fast. It don't even feel like 14 years since God came into my life and changed me. It don't feel that like it's been that long. And through that time, I've been through some hell and hot water. Good times and bad times. And yet, A lot of dreams that God put in my hand still ain't came. Don't give up, people. And when Joseph was 30 years old, he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asheroth, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. Priest of On. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim. Sound familiar? For God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. That's amazing. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dark began to come, according to Joseph, as Joseph has said. Now, they saying as Joseph has said, but you know who said it. But you understand, right? He worked for God. So we know who said it. Has said, and dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph. What he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. So did he just store up stuff for just the Egyptians? Or just his kind? No, it was for anybody who needed food. People don't never know what God is about to do from start to finish. But they know it's going to be great. To those who are called according to his purpose. Your purpose may not be as lavish or big as Joseph's dream. But God has a dream for you that is going to come to pass. You just have to trust him and trust the process. All that's happening. Don't be mad or get upset because this is that didn't happen. You think when you became a Christian, everything is going to be good for you? You got to learn. You got to get humble. You got to understand that even though you're in rough places, that he's going to guide you through the darkness. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. God never left or forsake Joseph. But it's all about timing. You see, where did I get all this stuff from? I get it from God and his word. Don't be in a rush. Humble yourself. Usually, remember I told y'all, I don't know if y'all remember, but somebody had told me, like, man, I was trying to chase after that dream, chase after the raise and promotion and stuff like that. And an older man came to me and said, pray to God for favor. You know why that's a good prayer? Because it covers everything. It ain't even got to be specific. Lord, please show me favor. That covers everything. That covers everything. Oh, I ain't finished yet. Let me pause and I will continue.